Some of you may be familiar with the Sea to Summit Spark family of sleeping bags, but for those of you that aren't, it's a range of super light down sleeping bags designed for ultimate packability and warmth for weight. Because of this, they did end up being a little bit niche for some of you. But new for Spring/Summer 24, Sea to Summit have come out with the Spark Pro family. Now, this range of sleeping bags has a lot of the same features as the standard Sparks, but as you can probably tell from my entrance here, they've also got a few differences that make it potentially a little bit more practical while still maintaining everything that you really like about the main Spark family that they have also updated for Spring/Summer 24. So with the new Spark family, the Spark Pro, I'm in a pre-production spec, but to factory spec model, it's worth pointing that out, -9 version of the sleeping bag. They also do a -1 version, and largely all of the feature set is the same. There's slight construction differences to allow for the different levels in warmth and obviously less insulation in the -1. But both sleeping bags effectively are constructed in the same way and have the same feature set. This is also a regular bag. I would normally go for a long bag, but that also helps when we're jumping around the woods, so I'm not dragging it across the floor quite as much. Now, the most important thing is that because they still share that Spark DNA, both bags are still incredibly light. In the regular version, the -1 comes in at 619 grams. The -9 in regular comes in at 784, and they do both come in long versions, which will be a little bit heavier because they account for the extra length. So any of you long boys out there will be having a slightly heavier experience, but we're talking a few grams, and ultimately that pack size is still going to be really small. To achieve that, Sea to Summit have maintained a lot of the DNA of the regular Spark family. So they're using still ultralight materials, so they're using a 10 denier nylon for both the outer and the liner of this sleeping bag. And they have used 950 plus, definitely 950 plus, I'm going to say that a third time just to make sure I get it right, fill power down in the sleeping bags. So they offer incredible warmth for weight. They have an ultra dry treatment to the down as well, because you really don't want to get your down wet. And also in combination with that, as a nice little quality of life feature, both the toe box, so you might notice it's a slightly different color here, and the hood, which I can't really get into because again, this is a regular, have a waterproof 10 denier fabric on them. So if you are out in situations where your sleeping bag might be getting a little bit damp, you do have a little bit of a better peace of mind. But as always, we would recommend keeping your sleeping bag as dry as you possibly can. So keep it in a dry bag and try to avoid it getting damp. But if you do happen to be taller, you'll often find that, speaking from personal experience, your head or toes may be touching the inner of a tent, especially if you're in a smaller one-man tent. Don't really recommend that. When you're taller, I always go for a 2-man, just a little bit more space, a little bit more luxury. But the addition of that waterproof foot box and hood really do help with that, so that if you do get a little bit of contact, you're still going to stay dry and maintain the performance of the bag, which is a really nice little feature. So one important factor when it comes to sleeping bags is their pack size, and Sea to Summit haven't scrimped on the pack size with the Spark family. With the -9, despite it being a sleeping bag that will go down to very cold temperatures, maxing out at -9, they've still maintained a very small pack size, which is kind of very familiar to you if you know anything about the rest of the Spark family. They've added in a bunch more features, so it's not quite as small in pack size as the standard Sparks that you might be a little bit more familiar with. But the pack size, given every feature that it's got, is still incredibly small. So, here's one I made earlier. With the pack size, it is very small. It can go a little bit smaller than we've got here, but standard comparison is a Nalgene bottle. So a 1 litre wide mouth Nalgene bottle compared to the sleeping bag, it's roughly the same size. The -9 is just a touch taller and it is a little bit chunkier, but all in for a sleeping bag of this size and weight, that pack size is pretty incredible. So with the Spark range, Sea to Summit have traditionally gone for a very trim, almost alpine fit, mummy shaped sleeping bag. They have maintained that in the Spark Pro. They've made it a little bit more generous, so it is a little bit more comfortable if you are a little bit bigger in proportions. But it is still a technical mummy fit, and then they've got a really close fitting hood, which I can't really get up here, but it is really cozy, really secure around your head. And essentially everything that they've done is to try and maximize and improve the thermal efficiency of the sleeping bag so that you have maximum warmth for weight. That's really the key thing with anything to do with the Spark family, whether it be the Standard or the Pro. They have also included little quality of life features like a slightly bigger foot box, which allows your feet to sort of spread out a little bit, because when we're sleeping, we don't sleep with our feet completely upright. They do tend to tip out a little bit. And that's also really nice for someone like myself with big flippers, because I've actually got space in the foot box and it allows my feet to move a little bit, but not so much that you then get that big sort of ball of cold air that your feet get cold. Thermal efficiency is really what Sea to Summit have been going after in this bag, and I've got to be honest, I am really warm in it right now. Now, as I just alluded to, that free flow zip system is what really differs the Standard Spark from the Pro. Now, the Pro, they've added in this free flow zip system, which is how I ended up being able to walk into the scene and sort of amble about. It's really useful little feature if you really don't want to get out of your sleeping bag in the morning, you want to get up and move around camp a little bit. You can undo the foot box so that you can use it for ventilation as a primary, but it also means that you can kick those piggies out, let them breathe a little bit and go for a little wander around camp if you need to. If you want a little bit of a slower start in the morning, you can still wear your sleeping bag. In order to aid that, you also get a primary zip on the one side that is full length, and that one is gated so that it's supposed to be a no catch zip. That one you can zip up and down fully, so you can open the sleeping bag and have fun with that how you choose. So if it is a little bit too warm, say you've used the -9 and it doesn't get quite that cold, you can effectively open that full length zip and it turns it a little bit more into a quilt. You're still going to have that sealed toe box unless you undo the zip there as well. But then on the other side, you have a quarter length zip. So that quarter length zip allows you to fully fold down the front of the bag if you choose, or if you make use of the poppers and the two-way zip like I have done here, you effectively have two armholes, so you can put your arms out of the sleeping bag to do a little bit of tent admin, which is really useful if you need to get something from your bag but you want to maintain all of that warmth, or you want to make a coffee, cook a meal, something like that, and you've already got in your sleeping bag, you're nice and cozy. So all of these zips add in, they do add a little bit of extra weight, but all of the other features of the Spark Pro keep that weight to a minimum and you get much more flexibility with it. That zip system is just a really cool little feature that makes this bag a lot more versatile than the Sparks, which are just all about weight saving. The Spark Pro, a little bit heavier, still very lightweight, but those extra features are just nice quality of life adjustments. So that was a quick rundown of the Spark Pro range from Sea to Summit. You can shop the range at the link down below. As always, if you have any questions about the Spark family, whether it be the Spark Pros or the regular Sparks, if you pop them down in the comments, we will try our best to answer any queries you have. Now, I'm off to petition to some of our other brands to make full body gilets. I think I might be onto something.